Abigail hadn't meant to toy with him, but with the way he had broken down, she knew she had to do something. She had begun removing his shirt as a means to distract him from his pain. The sight of his body and strong arms brought back memories of the night she had spiked his drink. She hadn't really done much for him since she moved in. She just sat and ate while he walked despite his condition. She should show her appreciation. Determined, she went into the room. He was halfway done with removing his clothing when she hugged him. His body stiffened. "What are you doing?" he asked gently, although he made no move to push her away this time. She moved to his front and tiptoed. She kissed him deeply. His body stiffened. She thought she had overdone it and was going to pull back when he deepened the kiss and hugged her tightly. Her pregnancy, which was not that big yet, touched him. The kiss became rough as they both got hungry for each other. Abigail wondered how much he needed this when he tugged off her gown. His hand explored her body. His hands carried her and laid her on the bed as he continued feasting on her. He soon stopped. It was probably at that moment his sense of reasoning returned. "Sorry," he called to her as he left her alone on the bed and walked into the bedroom. Abigail was silent. She went into the bedroom to join him, but he stopped her as he felt her presence. He turned off the shower. We can't. "Why not?" "I just can't be here. I have to do something for you in return. Please allow me. We can do this and no one has to know. It will be our secret," she cajoled. Emmanuel was quiet, but then he spoke. "You are trying to sleep with me to say thank you for marrying you?" "No, it is not like that, but we can benefit each other," she tried to reason. "Get out." Abigail jumped. She had never heard him speak that harshly to her before. Hot, she slammed the door of the restroom shut and wore her clothes. She dished his food, set it on the dining table and retired to the room to sleep. None of them said a word to each other until they realized almost too late that life was worth living in love. Due to how Emmanuel had treated their make-out session, she had refused to talk too much with him. She didn't even say a word to Deborah when she saw her in church later, although jealousy nearly killed her inside when she saw them speaking to each other. What had she done that was so wrong? Sex was a normal part of marriage, even if their marriage was not built on truth. He needed to have sex with her, but he was putting her at arm's length like she had a pariah disease. Business was the only thing Emmanuel had working against him. He was very handsome and hardworking. She hadn't had a single lack since she got married to him. He was a rare product. She had done so much wrong to him, yet he didn't take it out on her, although she saw less of him these days. He appeared tired and worn out. He wouldn't reply when prodded, and Haya bluntly refused to tell her anything since she had doted from his salary for being late and absent on some days. She had taken over paying the staff and paying for their basic commodities. That way, he was not cheated when he went to buy. She even made him cut down on the rates at which he ordered things, food especially. The only thing she wanted was for him to talk to her. If he didn't want sex, then she would respect his wishes and stay away. He did not want to lose his protection. No one was looking out for her, not even Jennifer or Cynthia. Her mother hadn't even called her to give her a single missed call. None of her siblings called either. James had been the only one who called, but she had blocked him not long after. He had been flirting with her on the phone. She hated such men now, and he had better think twice if he ever thought there was going to be anything between them. She was growing tired of the silence between her and Emmanuel. She and the caretaker, Madame Rose, had gotten a bit friendly. She was a widow who had just one child. She didn't really need a job since her son took care of her, but the pastor's wife had cajoled her into it since she wanted someone trustworthy to look after Emmanuel. She advised Abigail to cook him a proper meal and explain things to him. She hadn't really told the woman what she did to offend the man though. She waited patiently. It became apparent at 8 p.m. that Emmanuel was going to be late. She tried his phone unsuccessfully. It was switched off. Panic laced her throat. What was wrong with the damn man? And that stupid Hayo had taken leave again. Sincerely, if something happened to him, she would sack that man for good and hire someone else. Worried, she dialed Hayo, asking him of the numerous clients Emmanuel seemed to tutor after closing from the school. Hayo's line was also switched off. She ended the call in frustration. She had just ended the call when Emmanuel called in. Furious, she picked it up. "You had better have a very good explanation for not being home right now. And you listen to me very clearly," the voice on the other end said. The voice was elderly and firm. "I will send you an address. I want you to come and pick him up immediately. He came to our house to teach our boy." The address came in soon after. Abigail quickly changed from the gown she wore. She took enough money for a cab from the drawer and left the house. She called a taxi in order to get there faster. The place was an estate and surprisingly very close to their church. She was awed when she saw the woman she spoke to on the phone. It was Deaconess Mary, one of the strong no-nonsense matriarchs of the church and a very dear friend to the pastor's wife. Abigail sighed as she came in and saw Emmanuel sleeping like a homeless child on their couch. With the phone plastered on the woman's face, she knew she was in deep trouble. Feel his temperature. Look at how hot he is. Do you even feel the man? Dickness Mary fired at Abigail, who stood looking guilty. She had frozen upon getting to the place. The woman reminded her of her mother. Fear lodged itself hard into her throat. He ate before leaving the house this morning, she answered thinly as she walked up to Emmanuel. Don't wake him. I had to drive him to the clinic. His fever is so hot. I would like to tell you this for free. If a man is hardworking and takes care of you and your unborn child, the least you could do is take care of him in return. But no, all you girls of nowadays think of is yourself alone, nothing more. A man goes out and toils all day and you let him starve. So what if he ate in the morning? What about his afternoon meal? Can't you pack food in a cooler? It's not like you are that big yet. Abigail hung her head. How could she tell the woman that he had been annoyed at her for a few days now? That was like pouring fuel on an already burning fire. So she kept her mouth shut. Are you just there to spend his money? Then I would like to tell you, please don't. Do you even know how he sees a job? Do you think it is easy for the blind? It does so much. When they apply for jobs, a person without disability will always be picked over him. Whenever I recommend him, he is usually so happy because these are jobs he would never have gotten. The job market is non-existent for people without sight. The voice acting job he got, Pastor Komolafe paid for his training so he could get it. He even fought for his script to be printed in Braille. Now he is using that money to take care of a child we are not even sure is his own. And you want him to die serving you. You're a wicked woman. Abigail's head hurt at the harsh words. She had begun taking care of him honestly. He had been aloof these past few days. That was why his sickness escaped her notice. I'm sorry, ma. I will keep better watch, she promised. You better. The elderly woman snapped. Her eyes soon went to Abigail's stomach. How many months gone are you? Abigail would always say 2, even though she was almost 4 months gone. She was thankful her stomach wasn't big at all. It's 2 months plus, ma, she replied vaguely. She nodded. Have you registered for antenatal? No, ma. And why not? Or are you waiting for Emmanuel to drive you there again? What does a man know about pregnancy? She shouted. Abigail paled. She couldn't do this again. She had lied this terribly to escape her mother. She couldn't allow anyone do mother figure again in her life. Ma, come over on Friday. I will take you to the hospital, she replied gently. Abigail nodded in shock. She had expected more shouting. Thankfully, Emmanuel chose that moment to stand up. It was then Abigail saw it. The rag breathing, had high bags. His clothes were askew. He looked rough. He began feeling around for his skin. She ran to him, picked it up from where it fell, and handed it over to him. What are you doing here? He asked, perplexed. Stand up, she told him in reply. Picking up his teaching equipment, she dropped them all in his bag and led him out. Dickness Mary ordered her driver to drop them at home. Emmanuel wanted to protest, but Abigail quickly seized the opportunity. Thank you, ma, we really appreciate it, and got into the car, dragging him along. Emmanuel had everything Dickness Mary discussed with Abigail. He hadn't meant to break down at her place. He had been tired. But he hadn't wanted to disappoint, and besides, he was paid per session. He had thought he would teach her boy and be out of there fast, but she had taken him to the hospital once she noticed his health. He hadn't interfered in their talk, because he knew she would only intensify her hatred of Abigail. He thought it best to allow the two argue their way out of it. Abigail had become a mother hen extraordinary after what happened. She monitored his eating, how he took his drugs, where he was per hour. She called him every hour. It got so bad Emmanuel wondered whether it was high time he got her a job. If she couldn't work physically, she could perhaps work remotely. All he had to do was buy a laptop and other appliances. Electricity was not an issue. The place was in a good area and he had electricity constantly. He had branched at an eatery on his way home and ordered takeout for himself and Abigail. He had informed her not to cook. She was skeptical about the way he ordered food. I did not say I cannot take care of you now. You are the one buying junk food though. So everyone can bear me witness now. Since she was near, he took her hand. I'm sorry about the way she spoke to you. Sincerely, I knew I caused it. I stopped talking to you after it trailed off. After I wanted you to have sex with me and you refused, she finished. I didn't refuse. That's what you did. She tried to get out of his grip, but he held her tighter. You were offering yourself to me as a thank you for marrying you. I couldn't go on with it. I didn't just marry you just so you could turn sex to charity for me. Fine, maybe that was wrong, but still, you should have had sex with me. I wanted you to. Emmanuel paused. She wanted it, but if he slept with her, wouldn't it complicate things when she wanted to leave? They could not go on with this marriage with so many secrets buried between them, but it would be lying if he said he was not losing his mind. After that day he touched her, he just couldn't be near her and not think of touching her. It was part of the reason he had kept her at arm's length, but he really wanted to touch her, to feel her, and you won't regret it. I know you think you haven't slept with me before, but you have, she revealed. Emmanuel had no recollection of what she said, but she seemed to be telling the truth. It almost made him doubt himself. What if she was telling the truth and he truly was the father of her child? She sat on his lap before he could finish his thinking. She leaned into him and began kissing him. Emmanuel refused to think as the thoughts of her being near flooded his senses. There was no stopping this time. It was time to thoroughly love his woman. Months later, Abigail was happy and beaming. Her stomach was bigger. She was enjoying a happy marriage, blissful and fruitful. She had even been hired as an assistant for a remote job. However, it was her day off, and she needed to get a few things at the supermarket. She had commandeered Hayo to come pick her up. It was a public holiday. Emmanuel was home and did not go to work. He spent the day listening to the news and thinking about how to make more money. Her school had accepted a letter of stay, but there had been no exchange student program for her faculty. She would have to decide that later, since she knew she could never go back to Anambra. Abigail was almost done with her shopping when she heard her name being called. Shocked, she turned back to see Jeremy and a girl from school. The girl was a friend of her roommate, Jennifer. She thought the girl was named Suzanne or so. First, shame washed over her, then anger, then raving madness. She charged at Jeremy and threw the carton of soap in her cart at him. How dare you show up in front of my face? Jeremy looked taken aback. Have you gone mad, baby? What is wrong with you? I thought you aborted our pregnancy. How could you have been so gullible to have it? That is none of your business. It is my child. I will decide what I want to do with it. In that case, I want you back. I have to be in the life of my child, Jeremy declared. He came closer and put a hand on her stomach. This baby right here belongs with me. She slapped his hand away. You abandoned me, ran abroad, and you think I will ever get back with you? Not happening. She eased and made to leave. He dragged her back. You can't have my child without my permission, Jeremy argued. Did you give my child to another man? Is that it? I always knew you were sleeping with other men. Abigail reared back in anger and slapped him hard. Suzanne rushed forward to protect Jeremy, but Abigail slapped her in turn too. She then turned and ran out of the supermarket, her goods forgotten. She hurried a sleepy Hayo to drive out sharply. She was unaware that Jeremy trailed a car back home. He watched her enter her house. He smiled sinister and vengeful. I brought you the shawarma you requested for, Emmanuel told Abigail as soon as he came in. He located the table and dropped it. He could sense her seated, but she offered no reply. Worried, he moved to touch her. She didn't move as his hands connected with her skin. Is there something wrong? He asked, touching her slightly. Ah, you are back, she asked. Emmanuel wondered for a second which one of them was blind actually. What is going on? I didn't want to say anything, but you have been very skittish with me. No, I greeted you now, she responded. Emmanuel could not help but wonder how disturbed she was. What was disturbing her? You have not stepped out of this house for days now. Madame Rose said you told her to do all the cooking. You have to speak to me. You do know your antenatal is tomorrow, and you have to attend, right? He pressed. Of course, I will go, she replied dismissively. Emmanuel did not trust that reply of hers. He would go with her. She had even lost her usual spark. She rarely spoke to him. It was strange. Things were going good. Early the next morning, Emmanuel went to the antenatal with her. The clinic she used was owned by Mrs. Mary's son. It was one in which the majority of the church members patronized. Thankfully, her baby was kicking fine. Abigail was still quiet and was not even conversing with him. He knew it was nothing he did. Abigail was not the type to keep quiet when wronged. She voiced out her opinions immediately. As a means to brighten her mood, he took her to a restaurant adjacent to the hospital. He was well known there. She led him to a private booth and sat down. The waitress walked up to them and took their orders. You don't have to do this. I just have plenty on my mind, she mumbled as the food was placed in front of her. Emmanuel chuckled. Like what? The baby and my life from here. It is a lot. I know you do not believe the baby is yours, and I am sure your mother will soon get tired of allowing me play your wife. They will be all over me when the child is born, and I just don't want anyone manhandling my child. Emmanuel signed. What she said didn't make sense. What did she think was going to happen after lying blatantly like that? Not everyone would let it go like he had, but he was not going to let her ruin the mood. Let's not discuss that for now. Let's take it one day at a time. I can't, she cried. She soon burst into tears. Emmanuel was worried. He didn't want anyone thinking he had spoken roughly to her. Thankfully, they were in an environment where people knew him. Stop crying. I actually do have a plan. I was thinking you could move out if you wish. Once you give birth, I can pay for your house rent, at least for the first 2 years. Then you can take it up from there. Abigail stopped crying and looked at him. Life was so unfair. How could such a good man be blind? Despite how she had ruined his reputation, he was still caring for her. Do you love me? She asked before she could stop herself. He looked taken aback. He smiled, though not answering. He chose that moment to bite into his chicken. She tapped him playfully. Answer me. Who wouldn't be? I might be blind, but I know just how beautiful you are. She nearly rolled her eyes. Only because of that. I wouldn't have slept with you had I not loved you. Neither would I have married you if I didn't fancy you. Perhaps if I hadn't become blind when I did, I may have pursued you more earnestly, he confessed. Abigail paled. She hadn't known of his crush on her as a teenager. They barely even looked at each other. She sighed, seeing where fate had brought them. Life just has a way of arranging itself. I am not telling you this so that you can stay with a blind man. You are free to go. I am barely saying you will always have a home with me, he explained. Abigail wondered if she hadn't worked her life backwards. If she had befriended the guy sooner, it was a thing she may not even have to trap him at all. He would have helped her willingly and wholeheartedly, maybe not through marriage, but she was sure he would have stood by her side. Tears slipped from her eyes. You are quiet. What's wrong? I was just wondering. I befriend you sooner. He chuckled. He continued eating. No doubt it was very nice. That was why Deborah Faultime had thought to use him. But what she didn't know was that he had suffered as well. Since she lived in his house, she knew the level of suffering he endured to get to where he was. He was constantly working, and it must be nice too, since a lot of people referred him to many places. In my next life, I promise, I'll be good to you and choose you, she promised. Next life? What happened to this one? We ain't done living it. Yes. Then thought sadly, she had messed up too badly to ever hope of being forgiven in this one. He would never forgive her if he learnt the truth. No man could. She focused on her meal after that. They were halfway done when Abigail heard the unmistakable voice of Jennifer. She looked up, panicked. Here she is, the devil mistress, evil thing. How could you? You were going to give the pregnancy of one man to another. Monster, Jennifer accused. Abigail jumped up as fast as her big stomach could allow. Emmanuel reached for his cane and phone. What is going on here? He asked. I can't believe this. You mean the most beautiful girl in Ineri campus can settle down with a blind man just because she wants to hide her shame from the world? Jennifer screamed. Jennifer, what are you doing? Abigail attempted to drag her friend, but Jennifer flung her hands away. Don't touch me. I even thought Cynthia was lying when she said you had gone through with the plan. But here you are. Abigail could feel the tears and anger boiling in her body. I called you for help, but you refused. We all planned this together. Are you hearing her, Mr. Emmanuel? She's not carrying your baby. Oh. This is her baby father. Jennifer screamed for the entire restaurant to hear her. Abigail wondered if she would ever be able to free herself from this shame. She paled as Jeremy and Suzanne stalked towards her. She grabbed her purse blindly and hurried out of the restaurant. Through the back door, she walked as fast as she could. She ran to Ayo, who was waiting. Drive, drive, she shouted as she got in. What of Mr. Emmanuel? He asked. He's still eating. He will come later, she cried. Ayo nodded. He started the car and drove out of the restaurant.